After Quicksilver returned to Wakanda, his mind twisted under Kilgrave's control. He attacked his own teammates, and in the chaos, the Human Torch was killed. Now Apocalypse is expecting a counterattack. As his secret weapon, he has brought forth Miles Morales, now the host of both Venom and Carnage. Months later, far overseas, Nightcrawler finally appears. "Madrox, drop the sail," he shouted to Multiple Man, who was manning the ropes of the massive carrier. "Piotr, drop the anchor," he added, his golden eyes fixed on the horizon. Aboard the colossal ship were hundreds of survivors, refugees who had escaped Apocalypse's reign over Europe. Even Colossus was among them, but someone far more important stood on deck: Storm. "My friends," she called out joyfully, "you are now safe. Europe is behind you." She pointed to the vast green coast as the refugees disembarked. "Welcome to Africa." At the port, she finally saw him. "T'Challa, my king," she said softly. "Ororo, my queen," replied Black Panther, his gaze warm and proud. They sealed their reunion with a kiss. Then, cutting through the wind, came a small but bright voice. Storm turned instantly, scooping up her daughter. "Nkosazana, it's very early for you to be awake," she said with a smile. "I've been awake for ages. I woke up Dad too," said the little girl proudly. Storm turned back to T'Challa. "Well, I'm sure he appreciated that. If there's one thing kings get too much of, it's sleep. The head that wears the crown feels a little heavier when it's woken at 5 a.m., he replied. "Sounds exhausting," Storm teased. "You know I just pushed a helicarrier across the sea from Portugal, right?" Moments later, Pepper Potts and Sue Storm appeared, sorrow heavy in their faces. T'Challa noticed immediately. A serious conversation was coming. "Yes, Pepper," he said quietly. "We'll speak to the Admiral. Nkosazana, stay with Io." Storm turned to one of the Dora Milaje. "Where is Okoye?" The air grew tense. T'Challa leaned close and whispered, "We'll talk on board the carrier." Aboard the helicarrier, Pepper brought Nick Fury up to speed on Tony's abduction and Johnny's death. "Shit," was all Fury could say, his face turning to stone. "You want us to turn around and go back to Europe?" Nightcrawler stepped forward. "My people are exhausted," he said, concern in his voice, but Pepper's tone was unwavering. "I'm going after Tony, with or without the carrier." Sue stepped in beside her. "Just give us a small ship from your fleet, Nick," but Fury cut her off. "Sue, you'd be absolutely defenseless if any of the majors show up. Namor, the Raiders, any of the monsters. Not much of a rescue mission if you get captured or drown." Then his gaze shifted to Storm, serious and direct. "Ororo, are you up to it?" T'Challa interjected. "The ship has a steam engine. Ororo doesn't need..." But Storm raised her hand, her eyes calm but commanding. "It would take weeks if they relied on that engine. Without knowing what Apocalypse is planning, I think we should hurry." Then she turned to her husband. "Also, I am queen, and our kingdom is threatened. We'll leave within the hour." Later that day, the team prepared for departure, saying their goodbyes to those staying behind to protect the sanctuary. "May didn't want to be here?" Peter asked MJ softly, sadness in his eyes. "No, she's back at the house with Danny," MJ replied. "She's scared, Peter. She doesn't want to lose you." She looked up at him, steady and loving. "Come back to us, Tiger." Minutes later, Storm called upon the clouds and winds, summoning a tempest to push the helicarrier forward. Peter and Nick Fury stood side by side, watching Wakanda fade behind them. "You know," said Fury, "it's not too late to swim back to safety. If we leave Apocalypse to do whatever he's planning, I doubt there'll be safety anywhere," replied Peter. Fury nodded. "I gotta say, Parker, I like the world we've built. I'm glad I got to see it. It's worth fighting for." Night fell. Storm was exhausted. "I've got you, Ro. You should rest," said Colossus, helping her land gently on deck. But Storm wasn't done. The distance they had traveled still wasn't enough. Inside one of the helicarrier's briefing rooms, Dr. Doom laid out the plan. "This should not simply be thought of as a rescue mission," he said firmly. "We strike, we kill Apocalypse and any loyal to him. We take Europe." X-23 arched a brow. "And who exactly would you suggest rules Europe in Apocalypse's place?" "Doom." Victor's tone stayed cold and serious. "Wolverine, if I wanted to rule a kingdom, I would have taken Wakanda. It's far nicer than Europe. When will you begin to trust me?" Honey Badger smirked. Well, you were literally a violent dictator a few years ago. That kind of sticks in the memory." Luke Cage chuckled, shaking his head as Jessica Jones interrupted. "This isn't really the room to pitch ideas about who to kill, Victor." Suddenly, screams erupted outside. Everyone rushed to the deck, and for Peter and Jessica, the voices that followed froze their blood. "Dad!" screamed May Parker, with Danny Cage right behind her. "May?" Peter shouted, eyes wide. Danny, what are you doing here? Jess yelled, furious. We're sorry, Danny cried. We wanted to come with you, but we knew you'd say no. Peter turned to May, his voice breaking, but both their spider senses suddenly exploded with danger. What is it? Asked Fury. Peter's eyes widened. There's something out there. Move! He dove over May, covering her as a massive metal claw wreathed in fire and chains ripped through the air, impaling Nick Fury straight through the chest. Fury's eyes met Peter's one last time. He gasped, before being dragged off the deck and into the dark water below. Peter and Luke stood frozen as Fury disappeared beneath the waves. And from the depths, dozens of burning shapes began to rise, riders cloaked in fire and vengeance. The Ghost Riders, the damned pirates who had made a deal with the devil to blaze brightly forever.